The Trump administration is continuing direct negotiations with Hamas and believes that a deal can be reached with the terrorists within weeks. U.S. envoy Adam Boehler said that he's negotiating a deal Israel will be happy with. Israeli officials say they are unaware of any progress. More from ILTV's Steve Leibovitz.
After strong urging from Washington, Israel today dispatched a delegation to Doha for a fresh round of mediated hostage ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas. The renewed talks come amid a series of revealing comments by U.S. hostage negotiator Adam Boehler.
When you walk and you sit in front of somebody and you know what they've done, it's hard not to think of it. I wouldn't say it's the most productive. The most productive is to realize that every piece of a person is a human and to identify with the human elements of those people and then build from there. But it definitely feels a little odd knowing what they really are.
The first phase of the truce ended on March 1st without agreement on what would be next. Israel balked at entering phase 2 of the negotiations toward a permanent end to the war, without guarantees that Hamas will have no role in post-war Gaza.
With respect to the Hamas situation, I do think there's hope. I think that Israel has done a wonderful, masterful job eliminating Hamas, Hezbollah, a number of other enemies in the state that makes things possible that weren't possible before. And I think you could see something like a long-term truce where we forgive prisoners, where Hamas lays down their arms, where they agree they're not part of the political party going forward. I think that's a reality. It's real close.
But with Washington pressuring for a deal, Boehler made clear that the Trump administration is calling the shots.
I do understand. I spoke with Ron, and I'm sympathetic. He has someone that he doesn't know well, making direct contact with Hamas. Maybe I would see them and say, look, they don't have horns growing out of their head. They're actually guys like us. They're pretty nice guys. So he doesn't know me, and there are big stakes. He lives in a country where if it sets certain precedents, then it will hurt or help a lot of other people. So I understand the consternation and the concern, and I wasn't upset.
There are major differences over the terms of a potential second phase of the truce, which has largely halted the war that's raged since Hamas's attack last October. Hamas insists on talks ending the war, while Israel agrees only to a truce extension to allow the release of more Israeli hostages.
And Israel has cut off electricity to Gaza and is considering halting water supply as pressure mounts on Hamas amid stalled hostage negotiations. More on this from ILTV's Mayan Hoffman.
Israel's Energy Minister Eli Cohen signed an order yesterday to immediately halt the supply of electricity from Israel to Gaza. Reports indicate he made the decision independently, without cabinet approval.
אנחנו נפעיל את כל הכלים שעומדים לרשותנו על מנת שכל החטופים יחזרו ונבטיח שהחמאס לא יהיה בעזה ביום שאחרי.
Israel is also considering cutting off its water supply to Gaza, starting with the pipeline to northern Gaza, if hostage for ceasefire negotiations continue to stall, some officials have hinted. Since October 7, Israel has largely stopped supplying Gaza with electricity, except for one remaining power line, the Kala power line, that supports desalination facilities. Before the Hamas attack, there were 10 such lines. As a result, Hamas has relied on generators to provide electricity to residents. International aid groups estimate Hamas has enough fuel to run these generators for about 45 more days. The IDF has previously maintained that keeping the Kala power line operational was necessary to prevent disease outbreaks that could endanger hostages and soldiers. Meanwhile, it seems Israel is moving forward with an authority to implement U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to relocate Palestinians from Gaza. The authority, first announced by Defense Minister Israel Katz last month, was discussed in the cabinet and at the Knesset's Land of Israel caucus meeting, where Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich argued that Trump's plan is the only viable long-term peace plan and worth any investment.
וכל שקל שנשקיע בעידוד הגירה יעלה לנו הרבה פחות מעוד פעם ועוד פעם ועוד פעם להילחם.
He said Israel and the U.S. are already coordinating on which countries will take in Palestinians and in what numbers.
And meanwhile, the Arab Initiative, an alternative to the Trump plan for Gaza, is picking up steam as the UK and European nations throw their support behind the plan for rebuilding Gaza. The foreign ministers of France, Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom have expressed their support for an Arab-backed plan, spearheaded by Egypt, for the reconstruction of Gaza that would cost $53 billion and would ensure that Palestinians are not relocated out of the Strip. In a joint statement, the ministers said that the plan shows a realistic path to reconstruction of Gaza and promises, if implemented, swift and sustainable improvements of the catastrophic living conditions for the Palestinians living in Gaza. The ministers added that they are clear that Hamas must neither govern Gaza nor be a threat to Israel anymore. The plan is considered an alternative to U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for the reconstruction of Gaza and the relocation of Palestinians out of the Strip and into neighboring Arab countries, a plan the Arab and European countries oppose. As part of the Arab plan, an independent committee of technocrats would run Gaza for 6 months before handing control of the Strip over to the Palestinian Authority. The plan also calls for international peacekeeping troops in Gaza. The plan makes no mention of Hamas, nor how or when Hamas will relinquish control. Israel and the United States have so far rejected the Arab plan. Prime Minister Netanyahu has repeatedly said neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, which is continuing its pay-for-slay policy of paying terrorist families, will have any role in the future of Gaza. And joining us now with more on the latest developments in Gaza is Brigadier General in the Reserves Amir Avivi, Chairman and founder of the Israel Defense and Security Forum. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Lida.
So the United States is now directly speaking to Hamas. This is a first, and Israel isn't too pleased. I mean, what do you make of this unilateral move?
I think it's very problematic going around Israel with somebody who doesn't have experience, doesn't know the culture. I think it's sending a message to Hamas that this enforces them, that they can continue holding the hostages. I don't see it as an act that strengthens Israel but weakens it. I would have expected the U.S. to send a clear message to Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, hand us over all the leadership of Hamas. These Hamas leaders killed more than 50 Americans, took hostages. I think that if we want to pressure them to release hostages, let's arrest all of them. Let's send a message to Qatar, hand them over, all the leadership. And then we might see pressure mounting and our hostages coming back. These talks might go more and more and prolong, and this will only distance the moment where we'll see our hostages.
Mm-hmm. And an Israeli delegation finally heading to Doha for talks today. But as you said, I mean, it seems that since the end of the first phase of the ceasefire agreements, Israel has been in limbo. You know, President Trump even publicly gave Israel a green light to go back into Gaza, saying, if we remember, all hell would break loose. But yet here we are 10 days later and no real progress is being made. Do you think this was perhaps a missed opportunity on Israel's part?
It's not a missed opportunity yet. Obviously, we want to do everything possible to bring back the hostages before we go in. Mm-hmm. But there needs to be a red line. I mean, we're getting closer to the moment where Israel will have to decide we are going in full scale on a decisive attack to destroy Hamas as a governmental and military entity and bring back our hostages and create a completely different reality in Gaza. The forces are training, are getting ready. The plans have been approved. If Hamas in the coming days doesn't start bringing back hostages again, I think we'll have no choice but to go in.
Is that your estimate, that it could be a matter of days? Because, you know, how much longer can Hamas really draw out these negotiations, draw out the ceasefire? I mean, we know that with every day that passes, Hamas is able to rebuild.
Hamas will continue for years. If we create a reality that this negotiation is going to be done while there is a ceasefire and no military pressure, they will talk and talk for years, just as we had with Gilad Shalit, 5.5 years. 5.5 years Gilad Shalit was in hostage. We cannot have this reality with our hostages. Hamas is going to try and extend this forever. So we need to give a red line. Either you release hostages, and then we are willing to extend the ceasefire and also release terrorists, or we are going back and destroying you. And this time it needs to be all the way, destroy Hamas.
And I do want to turn now to the Arab plan for Gaza. It's a direct challenge to President Trump's plan. It calls for the reconstruction of Gaza without displacing Palestinians, but it wants the Palestinian Authority in control. I mean, what do you make of this plan?
Well, they obviously want Hamas and the Palestinians to stay in Gaza. They want to continue challenging us. They want to continue seeing us in ongoing wars. We cannot accept that. The day after in Gaza, this place needs to be completely cleaned of Hamas and with massive relocation of the Gazans. This is the only way Israel can really have safety and not the need to go again and again on operations and wars. I think we should stick with Trump's plan. It's a good plan. We need the U.S. and the Israeli government to find countries that will be willing to receive the Gazans. The IDF is ready logistically to relocate any Gazan that will want to relocate anywhere. And we should reject completely the Arab plan and stick to Trump's plan.
All right, Brigadier General Amir Avivi, thank you so much for your analysis today.
My pleasure.
And as negotiations for this ceasefire are underway with an Israeli team in Doha, protesters continue to sleep overnight at an encampment outside IDF headquarters in Tel Aviv. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian is there. Shosh, what are they protesting?
Well, Lidar, this protest is still very much alive since they began it on Saturday night. Camping out outside of the IDF headquarters, you can see the tents that are surrounding me right now. People are protesting on the main street that leads into the IDF headquarters. Protesters here are demanding for the Israeli government to cut a deal with Hamas to get the remaining 59 hostages out. They worry that if there is a return to war, it could impact the lives of hostages even more. A weekly Saturday protest for the hostages in Tel Aviv has led to the creation of an encampment outside the IDF headquarters, going on to their third evening tonight. Protesters are demanding for the government to secure a deal with Hamas to get the remaining 59 hostages out, and Israel believes 24 hostages are still alive at this point, as more than a dozen signs of life have been received within the last month from released hostages. Protesters worry that renewed fighting in the Gaza Strip will put the remaining hostages in harm's way even more. Here's what some protesters told ILTV.
Leave Gaza tomorrow and return all the hostages. Seal the deal that they signed, the second step. Even go further.
I think about these people who are ready to sleep here because they care so much about the few people who are still alive in Gaza. We heard that there are 24 still alive. It's extremely important, and I feel for their families. Really feel terrible. How I try to imagine how their family feels.
There is a lot of talkings about discontinuing to the second stage of the deal. The second stage should have bring home all the 59 brothers. And now the government and the radical right side of the government is talking about continuing the war.
And Lidar, protesters here say they plan on sleeping overnight inside of these tents for the next few days.
And now, for over 1,000 years, Islamic Jihad has followed a systematic approach to expansion through terror. The attacks of October 7th were not an anomaly, but rather part of an historical pattern. Israel Neyman has been a university history instructor since 1991, first at the University of Haifa and then at the Technion. And now he's founded the Neyman Academy and is offering a new online course exposing Islamic Jihad, safeguarding humanity, to help people understand history and its modern implications. And joining us now to tell us more is Israel Neyman himself. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So from a Rutgers Middle Eastern Studies major in the United States, you've been a metal worker, a tour guide. What led you to your specific focus on Islamic jihad, global jihadism, and anti-Semitism?
Okay, so I came here very idealistic in the 1970s. I saw the peace agreement with Egypt and very optimistic. So idealism, optimism, and then we have the Oslo Accords. And I figured, okay, Yasser Arafat is a secular nationalist, and we can make a deal with him. However, as we know, he turned out to be a jihadi. Exploded in our faces. You had the Second Intifada. So I said, okay, what's the source of Palestinian jihadism? That's Hamas. So I studied, researched their covenant and their history for years. And in the end, wrote a book called Hamas Jihad in order to educate others as well as to this phenomenon that they thought was jihad now, but essentially has gone on for centuries.
Mm-hmm. And, your cause is to fight jihadism. What is your understanding of jihad, and why is it sort of important to learn actually the history of jihad?
Okay, I'm a historian. For some 1,000 years, about 1/3 of the known world was captured by jihad. Over this period, jihad is focused as a theology. And with this theology, if I go to define it, we're talking about divinely ordained conquest of the globe for Islam. And we have to understand it. That's the bottom line. Today, when we look, take just the 21st century, we have continuation, 9/11, all those terrorist attacks in Europe, terrorism elsewhere, of course, throughout the globe, 7th of October, and just recently, 2 weeks ago, 70 Christians were slaughtered in the Congo, beheaded in a church by ISIS types. You also have the slaughter going on today in Syria. If we don't educate ourselves about the Islamic jihad, we are going to find ourselves living under a brutal Islamic law.
And so you offer this, unique course to the global community, essentially teaching what you call forbidden knowledge.
Right.
What will participants gain from the course?
Okay, so first of all, what I want to say is this course is politically incorrect. And you're not going to find it anywhere, certainly not on a university campus. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to find it on the internet either. It's not really there. The theology and legacy of jihad are intertwined with the history. Everything comes together. Tens of millions of people were slaughtered, enslaved, and brutally oppressed over those 1,000 years plus. Today, we have all these apologists around saying, no, they misunderstood. It's a misinterpretation. It's a lot of nonsense. The template has always been there, and it is there today as well. We have to call them out. We have to learn about this. Everybody needs to know about this, and we have to challenge them, whether it's in the workplace, social events, or online.
And, for those who are watching now, our viewers at home, why, what would you say to them? Why is this a critical moment now to educate ourselves? How can this course sort of empower individuals moving forward to talk about jihad and to combat, this phenomenon?
Okay, so I urge everybody to join our course, Exposing Islamic Jihad. The West is at a very critical juncture right now. Democracy is being weaponized against itself. All you have to do is look on the campuses, in particular Columbia, which is always in the news, but it's all over the place. It's anti-Semitic, anti-Western, anti-democratic. And what starts in the campuses ends up in government. In other words, we're going to see it there shortly as well. But it's already showing up. Look in the streets of Toronto, Jews being attacked. Look at synagogue burnings in Australia, or demands for Sharia law in Great Britain. Who thought we'd ever get to such a point? So in the course, Exposing Islamic Jihad, our students will gain the skills, the knowledge, and the confidence in order to confront jihad and ensure our way of life and freedoms.
So a very interesting and, of course, timely course. Israel Neyman, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And moving on to an interesting development involving the Israeli police. After going viral, a video posted to social media showed 2 lion cubs and a monkey illegally held in a Bedouin village in southern Israel. They were located and rescued by local police. More from ILTV's Debo Klein.
This lion cub was held illegally in the Bedouin village of Bir Haddad in southern Israel. The Segev Shalom police station said they were able to locate it after a video on social media went viral. In another video, another illegally held wild animal was documented. 2 monkeys, which were also depicted in the videos, were confiscated at a local school in the Bedouin town of Tel Sheva, as stated by police forces. The videos helped police track down the illegally held animals after much outrage was expressed on social media. Israeli police revealed that these rescued animals were being transferred to the Israel Nature and Parks Authority for further care and medical examinations.
Unusual story. And now, Israel's Eurovision 2025 song has been revealed. And it's more than just music. It's a message of healing and unity from singer Yuval Rafael, a survivor of the October 7th Hamas attack. Here's more.
Israel has revealed its Eurovision 2025 song performed by singer Yuval Rafael, a survivor of the devastating Hamas attack on October 7th. This song, co-written by renowned Israeli singer-songwriter Karen Pelez, was unveiled at a press conference in Tel Aviv on Sunday.
I'm coming very concentrated onto this amazing performance that we're building. We know that there will be many background sounds, and I feel like I'm coming with an agenda of love. And that is all that I'm going to be concentrated in. That's it.
The song, titled New Day Will Rise, is a pop anthem featuring verses in English, French, and Hebrew. Its theme, love, hope, and resilience. Raphael explained that the song speaks of healing, unity, and the hope for a brighter future. The co-author Karen Pelez emphasized that the song is not just a personal message, but a collective one aimed at uniting people around the world.
אני לא כותבת יותר שירים על עצמי, אני כותבת רק עלינו, רק בתור אנחנו אחד עכשיו כולנו, וזו הזדמנות גם להגיד שאנחנו מאוד צריכים את כולם שיהיו איתנו, אנחנו אחד מול הרבה מאוד אנשים שלא בהכרח יודעים את הנרטיב האמיתי של מה שקורה פה.
Raphael, who survived the attack at the Nova Music Festival, described how music has always been her healing tool, especially now. She hopes the song will inspire hope and resilience, not only in Israel, but also to people across the world who need it. As for whether Israel will win Eurovision 2025, Raphael's answer was simple.
An inspiration. And now, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Cloudy skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of around 11 degrees Celsius or 52 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see clear skies alongside steady temperatures with highs of 21 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I am Ladar Gravelazi. Be well, stay safe, and thank you so much for watching.